Welcome to Tales from the Fandom, a podcast that brings a special guest out of the multiverse and straight to you. And now your host, David Ginsburg.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Tales from the Fandom. We are here kicking off the month of February with one of my favorite Twitch streamers of all time. I am joined today with Nicole, but you may know her as Mommadubz on the Twitch network. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good, David. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here finally and excited to see what we talk about.
I'm excited to have you. It's been a blast, obviously, being a part of I always like to call it the Dub Squad. You call it Mama's Meadow, of just hanging out and watching you on Twitch and being a part of the community that you have created on that platform. And I'm excited that it's finally like you talk to us, but now I actually get to talk to you and you hear me.
I'm really excited about this. This is a whole new level of coolness.
And we will talk about Twitch later on in the episode, but I remember it's like one fateful night of I'm on Twitch and I don't have anyone to watch, and I'm trying to find something to watch, and I don't know why I stumbled into the Sims category. And then there you were, like, playing a challenge, and I didn't even know anything about challenges, and you were having these kids sleeping in an empty lot and living, like, going to the gym to shower and do schoolwork, and I completely fascinated by it.
Yeah, and that's so crazy to talk about since that was pretty much the beginning of my streaming career. And I was just starting out myself, basically. So it's been really cool to have you alongside since the very beginning. And I'm just excited to be here.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about some stuff before we get into, like, the video games and Twitch stuff. And one of those is a thing that my wife got me into, and a number of my guests have been huge fans of the TV series, which we're going to talk about Outlander.
Yes.
Now, for you, did you start off with the books before the show, or are you a show person? Like, where do you fall?
I am actually a show person through and through. I just happened to stumble upon it on Netflix one night. I was sitting there. I had just finished the most recent season of The Good Place, and I was sitting there going, I don't know what I want to watch. And my husband was doing something else, and so I started diving in some of the time period pieces on Netflix, and I came across Outlander, and it triggered in my head because you had mentioned it before on stream. And I was like, Outlander, someone's talked about that on stream before, like in the chat. So I went ahead and clicked on it and was immediately hooked. Now, mind you, I've tried the books, and it's just kind of a hard mind bend for me since I got so settled in because I had watched season 1, 2, 3, and 4 before I even got into a book. So I was set on the characters from the TV show already. And so I do have the books sitting in my house, and one day I'll get to them, but I kind of want to get through the TV show completely first and then go into the books and kind of view them as two separate entities, because in my mind, even reading the first couple chapters, they are. So
right.
Yeah. That's how I stumbled upon the episodes.
It's all my fault.
It's all your fault. And I'm incredibly hooked.
Now, are you a period piece kind of person that you like those kind of shows and movies?
Yes, actually, it's been really kind of a sweet journey of watching period pieces, because growing up, my best friend in middle school and high school, her mom is English. From England, and her dad was American, and he was over in studying at Oxford when they met, and then they moved back to America. And so I got to watch a bunch of BBC growing up with them as a family, since I was over there all the time, because we were more like sisters than actual friends, because we were spending almost every single day together. even though we went to different schools. And so I kinda got into that because of my friend Esther, and then also, it's a really sweet bonding time that I get to have with my mom because she loves time period pieces. So, like, I don't know if any of these names like Lark Rise to Candleford. She loves Murdoch Mysteries. I mean, that's not BBC, but that's time period piece. And then we all three of us, my mom, Esther, and I, have a deep love for Pride and Prejudice. And so I am usually down for most time period pieces, and that ranges from murder mystery to anything factual, anything like The Crown, to another kind of my favorite genre is when they take on lore and horror kind of from time period pieces and make shows about it. So another TV show is Penny Dreadful is another one of my favorites. And so I'm usually down for most time period pieces.
That's awesome. But what was it about Outlander that hooked you?
I first and foremost loved how sounds kind of nerdy in a sense, but I loved how factual and like historic it was while taking that elements of romance and the unknown because there's so much in that TV show that you don't know what the next step is going to be. Everything hinges on one little thing, and you're just like sitting there going, it's really, truly kind of a tragic story in a lot of its elements because of how, again, each episode you're holding your breath for the next one
Hmm.
90% of the time. So I that's what hooked me is like the storyline was fantastic. And again, it's so beautiful to the eyes. It's visually so beautiful because of all the costumes and the accents, and I have to watch it with subtitles on because some of the Scottish accents, I'm like, "What did he literally just say?" So, thankfully now I don't need it, but I in the beginning had to have those on, but I think that's what hooked me in, and then Jamie and Claire's relationship really hooked me in because of their bond. But again, at the beginning, I was like, her and Frank's bond was like amazing. How was she going to get back home? And then the whole Jamie aspect coming in, and then their relationship and their bond and their story really, really hooked me for sure.
Now, before we go any further, I have to just make sure. Have you watched all the seasons?
I have watched all the seasons. I've watched every season at least twice, and then some episodes like upwards of like 15 times. So
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to step onto like any
no,
spoiler
no,
territory
no.
here.
I have watched them all. So yes.
Well, I just want to reassure you that we too are a subtitle watching family over here, especially with shows like with Outlander. There's another one called Poldark, which is on BBC America, which just ended, I think, earlier this year or maybe late
Hmm.
last year, where I love it, but at the same time, I need to understand what they're saying, and I can't get it. So
Hmm.
give it to me as far as like subtitles, and now we just watch subtitles on everything because you
Yeah.
never know what people are saying in the background that you might want to pick up
Yes.
too.
Do you know what I don't like about subtitles is sometimes they give things away before you see them. So
Hmm.
I've been noticing that a lot while watching The Mandalorian. Like the name will pop up even before the character comes on, and all of us are like, "No, why did you give it away?" But other than that, we have subtitles on all the time. But that kind of stemmed from my husband's mom is partially deaf in one ear, and so we had to single time that we watched a movie, he just put them on because that was what they did in their house. And then I got hooked on it, and then I got my mom hooked on it. She's like, I understand what they're saying more. I'm like, yes, yes.
Yes, it's a big help.
Hmm.
Now, I will say again, like for Outlander, Michelle started watching it first, and then I had talked with a number of guests about the show, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna watch it with you before. I think it's before the second season came out.
Hmm.
So we watched the first season. I had trouble with the first season getting hooked into it.
Hmm.
Partially, like there had been conversations where, oh, Outlander is like a women's Game of Thrones kind of thing, which is totally not true.
Hmm.
And it just took some time, I guess, for me to connect to the show. I love the setting, I love the scenery, I love the costumes, but there just wasn't that connection for me. But right, I think in the middle is when it started like really hooking me, and I was paying attention more, I was getting into it, and then it was like, that's it, I'm in for the remainder of what this
Hmm.
show has.
Hmm. There were So, I mean, an overarching theme is, I mean, Jamie and Claire's sexual relationship, which it is very, it's a sexually driven show. But what I, I shouldn't say enjoy, but what brings meaning to it is that each time there is one of those scenes, there's purpose to it, and it's relationally building on top of each and every single time, that I find such a cool dynamic. While some other TV shows, it's just put in there for the wow factor.
Hmm.
And I just felt like in Outlander, it's totally different. Now, mind you, there's a lot of themes that can be very triggering for people, or really dark themes, but I kind of lean into those because I always have this problem of, with most fandoms, of being caught up in how great it is compared to my life. And in truth, like, yes, we can use those fandoms to escape, but that's why I kind of like Outlander, because they go on each and every single of those dark or triggering type circumstances. And yet, in the end, the good still prevails, even if it's really hard to get to that good prevailing, I guess you could say.
I gotcha.
Mhm.
Now, one of the great things that I love about Outlander is not only do you have Jamie and Claire,
Mhm.
which I know that people love Jamie and Claire, but I know that there's a number of supporting characters around them that
Mhm.
they kind of cycle through. And I was just curious, like, who's your favorite character? But do you have any favorites in the background or those side
Yes,
characters?
yes, yes, yes. So Marsley and Fergus are two of my favorite characters, quote unquote side characters, but they are just such a beautiful couple. And then on top of it, you can, through the couple seasons, you see Claire's and Marsley's relationship have like a story arc. Because for those of you who don't know, Marsley is actually Jamie's daughter, like stepdaughter, with
Laguerre, Leary.
Leary. Yes. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, Marsley is the daughter of Leary, who Jamie had married, and also Leary had a really toxic encounter with Claire. And so Marsley hates Claire, and then Claire kind of hates Marsley, and then they, in the end of season 5, they have this beautiful, like, amazing relationship. And there's some certain scenes that are totally heartbreaking, like at the end of season 5. Claire goes through a pretty graphic time, and I didn't shed one tear until Claire was reunited with Brianna, her daughter, and Marsley, and they just hug, and I was sobbing uncontrollably for like a good 5 minutes. So Marsley is also just really confident in herself and funny and witty. She brings a lot to the series. And then two other characters that I have respect for, but I don't love as much as Marcelly and Fergus is Brianna and Roger and their love story. To me, I like their love story because it's more realistic in comparison to Jamie and Claire's. There's a lot more fighting, there's a lot more a lack of communication, and as much as those are not great things, it's more realistic in our
Right.
world. And so I do I really do love watching them unfold. I will say when Brianna first came in, I just like straight up hated her. Um in season 2/3, I was just like, oh man, she's a brat. I just hate her. I hate her so much. And then kind of her story arc too, watching her grow and become more compassionate and empathetic has been really enjoyable for me.
I love, like, I really dug Roger, like, for a lot of it,
Mhm.
but there are times where I'm just like, oh gosh. And I know a lot of people are definitely on that, like, Brianna back and forth, like liking Brianna or hating Brianna. It's definitely like she's very much one of those characters where it's split on if people like her or don't like her.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I know that I was looking forward to in the past season that aired was seeing young Ian, because
Ah, yes.
I loved, at the end of the fourth season, he was left with the Native Americans,
Mhm.
and then for him to come back and just like I'm so ready to experience what his story arc is going to be coming up in like the next season, to see like what actually happened and what's going on, and tell
Mhm.
me more, like give me more.
Yeah, I felt the same exact way because when he was left in season 4, I was like, all right, that's it with young Ian. I loved him. He was so funny. Like when he is introduced to Murtaugh and he calls him an old coot, I was dying of laughter because that whole entire scene was like so emotionally driven because Jamie was going to see Murtaugh for the first time in how many years, like 15 years or so. And then there's just young Ian being the comic relief in all of that. So when he came back in season 5, I literally screamed when he came onto the screen. And I'm really excited as well for the next season because he's so different. He's so, instead of open and happy go lucky, he is solemn and sad and broken. And so I was definitely left at the end of it going, give me more. So I'm excited to see what they do in the next season for sure.
Just out of curiosity, before we wrap up Outlander, I have two questions. The first one is, I don't know if I'd say, do you prefer, do you miss them being in England and in Europe, and in that setting? Do you like them being in the Americas? Like, where do you fall on that?
I I'm pretty I'm not a huge fan of the Americas, like, at all. I like the story, but my heart is so set in Scotland in season 1. Like, that's my favorite season. I love Scotland, first of all, because it's beautiful. Second of all, just seeing, the castles and what they have for the sets amaze me, and I think I'm more caught on that because I grew up in Virginia, so all the stuff that I am seeing with them being in the Americas, I have actually seen a lot of that stuff firsthand, not specifically Fraser's Ridge or like all of that type of stuff, because that's not real, but like the whole set of like the colonies. Because
Mhm.
growing up in Virginia, we did a lot of our history about the colonies. And so I'm like, yes, I've seen this. It's cool to see it in a TV show, but I liked when they were in Scotland. I liked when they were in France. Um, season 2 wasn't my favorite, but France was very beautiful, and I really did especially enjoy the costumes from that season. But yeah, I'm more set on the Scotland end for sure.
I agree with you. I know that, like, I'm a person that loves like other history. I do not like American history. Um, it's just is never something I enjoyed in high school or college, and I prefer like European, Roman, Greek,
Hmm.
anything but the American history.
Yes. Yep. I agree. And then what was your second question?
My second question is, like what were your thoughts when she made penicillin? Because I know that Michelle and I were joking a lot about like, oh, she's making like she's going to get penicillin out of like all this stuff that she's trying, like she's going to get it.
I definitely was like, I don't know. Um, it doesn't feel, I felt like it was kind of unrealistic, but I'm pumped for the storyline in it. But when they were talking about in those episodes of having the reaction to penicillin, I was like, someone's going to react and someone's going to die, and no one did. And I was really kind of thrown off by that. I was
Yep.
like for sure set that someone was going to die. I was mentally prepped for it, but then nothing happened and it was like all happy go lucky, and I was like, um so yeah, there's
Yeah,
definitely for the
that
show.
that was the same thing over here. It's like we were dead set that she is going to kill someone with this.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I felt the exact same way.
Oh, Outlander. And I don't know when it's coming back. I don't know if they did filming for the next season yet, if they were supposed to start filming, and obviously, delays with what's going on. I don't know anything of what's happening now.
From what I can tell off of their social medias, they have the scripts. This is my assumption. They have scripts and then they have met at some points because there has been a picture of some of the group together and they're wearing masks. So they have met, but I know that Sam Hewen, Jamie's character, he is currently working on another movie right now.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know what that looks like because I know that like a lot of actors and actresses can fluctuate between both of them, but I know he's working on something and he hasn't mentioned Outlander at all. But I think they have the scripts, but I could be wrong from what they've kind of said on their social medias.
So what you're saying is don't quote you on it.
Don't quote me on it.
So from Outlander, we're going to kind of stay in I don't want to call it the mythical, but there's
Yeah.
we're definitely transitioning to another I don't know, historical I'll say historical document in honor of Galaxy Quest.
Good old
we're
Galaxy Quest.
we're going to transition to something that I've only talked to one other person about, and I still have not
Ooh.
gotten into it. So I,
Ah,
I'm
you got to
excited
get
for you
into
to
it.
I'm excited for you to tell me all about it, and it is Lore Olympus, which I am. My base knowledge is obviously it is a piece with gods, and it's a web comic, and they have lots of different colors to the characters. Like
Mhm.
their characters are like blue and pink and red, and but that's all that I got.
Okay, so Lore Olympus is a modern take on the abduction of Persephone, the goddess of spring, into the underworld by Hades. So you can find it on Webtoons. It is, like you said, each character has their own kind of color. So Core or Persephone, she can go by both. She is like this fuchsia pink, and Hades is this brooding blue, and Zeus is this bright purple, and it goes on and on. So each character kind of has their own color, which I think is so smart to do with a storyline that is so interwoven so that you can kind of keep track of each character when you're going through in the beginning, because in the beginning they're kind of throwing a ton of names at you because it's based on these Greek gods and goddesses, the six traders, the and all of this, all this lore all together, this Greek lore, and just simply putting them in their own color makes it so much easier to follow. And it is a great storyline. It keeps me coming back. So I started reading it. Oh goodness. It was about 2.5 years ago. I just happened to stumble upon it one night. I was like given one of those like commercials to check it out, and I was like, why not? And so I went in and started reading and was immediately hooked. And so I was just scrolling for hours to get all caught up. And then when I reached a certain episode, it stopped because then I was completely caught up and up to date. And I remember that night being devastated that I could not continue it and that I had to experience it in real time. And so Webtoons has this thing where you can kind of jump ahead a few episodes if you have like a certain amount of coins. And thankfully on my phone, I have this app. It's called Google Opinion Rewards, where it just kind of tracks my shopping history, and I earn cash from that, but it's only cash that you can apply towards apps. So I apply it exclusively to Lore Olympus. And so that I am always like kind of ahead of the story. And every week it comes out on Saturday, and it comes out actually right before I stream. It comes out at 8 p.m. and I am always there and have it like reloading on my screen. So again, going into Lore Olympus, it's the main take is on Core and the goddess of spring, and she is finally able to leave the mortal realm where she was raised by her goddess mother and kind of experience the Greek god life. So she's 19, she's experiencing this adult life for the first time, because you slowly find out that she was kept hidden from people. She had a very sheltered life because her mom just is super controlling, is what it comes down to, and wanting the best for her. But Core is finally able to get out and kind of experience like what we experience if we go to college or we move out of our parents' house. And one of her very first run-ins is with Hades, which we all know who Hades is. And he is the god of the underworld, and obviously of higher ranking. There's kind of like a popularity thing going on. So it feels very realistic. And slowly over time, they form a bond that starts as friendship, and then they fall for each other. And so this is the modern take on the true story, on the story of the mythology behind it. And there's a lot of side characters and side stories that also keep you entertained. But of course, I always like the main storyline. I'm like, can we get back to Hades and Core, please? And so, and it's what's so great about it is it's a slow build. It's not a fast story. It's not a quick story, which is very much like the Greek mythology of like, there are so many stories that are built on top of each other and so many characters within it. The author, yeah, she goes by Rachel, or her Twitter is used_band-aid. So she like just tells this story so well, and the art is beautiful. And what's also the last thing that I find super cool is you can see her artwork progressing through the series. So if you look at episode 1 compared to episode, like we're on like 115 or something, 133 or 35, it is amazing how much she has progressed, and it's been really cool to see that.
What was it that did it for you? I mean, obviously, like the ad was like gave you enough to get you there, but what was it on that first I guess chapter or issue or however they label it, like what was the first thing to hook you?
I first liked it visually because of, like we've mentioned, the colors. I was like, this is kind of nice and I can follow it really well. But it was this this concept that there's this young girl who's naive and knows nothing, and who has a god that knows everything because he's been alive for like thousands of years, and him falling for her, and her seeing her kind of make her way through the world, was really what caught me, of like that dynamic of like innocence and the complete opposite of like not innocence. And what you come to find out is Hades is not like this evil dude. Hades is just this kind of businessman who was forced into his job, and he's compassionate and kind and wise and sad, and he really clicks with Persephone. And because you find out that she has some things, so she looks all innocent at first, but she has a lot of underlying issues. And I'm not going to give things away because it's too soon. They just came out with episodes kind of explaining her background more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you find out that they are way more similar than you would ever believe from that first episode. So yeah.
Okay. I know that from the art that I've seen, like it's definitely got like that business vibe, especially with Hades. And I'm like, dang, like I love that idea of it, of like the Greek mythology as a like this crazy corporate structure.
Mm-hmm.
I dig that. And I love the way that the characters look, and the colors, the angular like
Mm-hmm.
styles on some of them. It's just it's so unique to what you see in other web comics, or even other like published comics, that it makes it stand out. And I know that it has blown up over the past I guess however long it's been out. It
Mm-hmm.
started out, but then it caught fire.
Mm-hmm. And I will say Rachel is a really good storyteller. It's just amazing of what she can put into an episode that will leave you wanting more than I have had from any other episode. The conversations flow really well, and the character depth is so nice, because I've read a lot of other comics where I'm like, I feel like I barely know this person. I mean, I like the story, and with Lore Olympus, I don't feel that way at all. And yeah, like what you had mentioned about this like corporate, how the underworld is basically just a huge corporate company, and they're in suits, they're in like extravagant gowns and like heels and all of this. But what's really cool is when they go to the mortal realm, it's still like BC time period. So they're wearing like just sandals and basically just like sheets, and it's just really cool to see kind of that concept of of like kind of the parallels with that. I just love it. It's informational about Greek mythology. It's not exactly it, obviously, but I do find myself going, oh, I kind of want to know this story. So then I go and Google the mythology behind it, certain side stories that they have.
Who do you love in the webcomic? Like who are some of your favorites?
I mean, Hecate or Hecate, or however, there's different ways of saying that. So she is basically Hades' right-hand man in his business of the underworld, and she is like a boss. And she is like she reminds me so much from the Devil Wears Prada, the boss in that, I'm forgetting who Meryl Streep plays.
Mm-hmm.
She reminds me of her, and I just love her for it. And but I have a huge soft spot for Hades, because I just feel like he's understood, and he's actually like the sweetest person on the face of the planet, and like actually he's kind of pure and like all of this type of stuff. And his backstory through it is basically his mom really loved him, but his dad was super evil and like just kind of turned him into what he is now, and he was forced into this job of being the god of the underworld. And so like my heart like breaks for him a whole bunch. So Hades, definitely, for sure. is my favorite.
Awesome. I know it's something that's always on my list of I need to go check out, and then at the same time, there's just so much other stuff where I get
I know.
sidetracked.
Hmm.
I get sidetracked.
It's easy now for me because I have just one episode a week. But when I first started off, I was up for into the night just reading comic after episode after episode. It took me hours. And again, I was devastated when I was caught up. So, yeah.
What do you mean I have to wait a whole week?
I forgot what it was like to wait for an episode for a week because of Netflix.
Oh my goodness. That
Uh,
is the one thing is that I think we only have one show that we watch on network TV where we're waiting for it, except for like when it's like Outlander or Handmaid's Tale, the shows
mhm,
that are every year essentially. But yeah, it is nice to have the streaming services to just binge
mhm,
episodes and get it
mhm.
done with and be like, yes, we're done, but now we're done.
Now we're done, and that's sad. But yeah, my husband and I love just sitting and binging things, and so it's really killing us with the Mandalorian right now to have to wait a week every time. Oh, it's every Friday. We're like, all right, it's nap time. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And we watch an episode. Oh,
I know that last week's Mandalorian
oh
episode,
my
which we're recording
gosh.
in December, this is going to come out in February, so obviously by this time
Yes.
Mandalorian will be over. But I could not get to because it was Black Friday, so everyone was home, and I could not get to watch the episode until later that night, and I was like dodging spoilers left and right. Every time I
No.
scroll, I was like, no, avoid it.
No. Yeah, I mean, we had some it was Daisy's birthday and my daughter Daisy's birthday, and we had friends over and kind of like social distancing, seeing some friends, and um we were like, "Hey, do you watch The Mandalorian?" And they're like, "Hey, yeah, we watch The Mandalorian." And so we're like, "We're gonna watch it right now." And so as soon as it's nap time, we got to watch it with them. But I was in that kind of same boat. I was like, "Are we gonna be able to? We're not gonna be able to watch this until later tonight." And then being able to watch it in the afternoon, we're like, "Yes." So, and watching it with them was super fun. I definitely cried when they said Grogu's name. I like sobbed because I was just like so excited to finally know that piece of information and how he responded with him. Oh, so sweet. I just loved it.
I know that there's a lot of you had all this time to come up with a name and you went with Grogu
I
and
know.
I was like yeah it's it'll Grogu on you.
Yeah, I'm not like a fan of the name, but I love the concept of this is we have a name and he responds to it, and yeah, I think that's the cool part of it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where the story plays out, and by the time people are listening to this episode, we'll know how it plays out. So
Yes, we will. Hopefully it's good. We just got a parakeet as a pet. We adopted one, and I was like, we need to name it like Grogu or Mando. And Chaz was like, since not everything is out yet, hopefully the series stays as amazing as it is. And I hope they don't like royally screw it up. But he's like, I don't really want to name it something without knowing how it all ends. I was like, that's true. Because what if they ruin it?
oh yeah, there's and we're going off on a side topic, which is totally cool.
Yeah.
That has been discourse over the past year of how quickly things like are in pop culture, and then
Oh,
they're out like Game of Thrones, and
yes.
they're like how quickly it went from being everybody's into it to no one wants to even think about it anymore.
Yeah. And yeah, like Game of Thrones is the perfect example of that. It was just I didn't even watch it all. I got through a few seasons, but by the end I was like, this is not what is supposed to be happening right now. Why are we doing this? So I'm just hoping and praying that Mandalorian just stays as good as it is right now.
Now, going from Lore Olympus and Outlander to something else,
Mhm.
which is and it kind of like splits with Twitch streaming, is that you play video games.
Yep.
It, I guess, how did you get your start in playing video games? But then, like, which video games do you gravitate towards?
So growing up, I grew up in a conservative household that kind of viewed screen time as a hot commodity. Like, we just did not do it. So even growing up, we didn't watch a lot of movies. We kind of just chilled out at night and like I was never into video games. I always wanted a Game Boy. I wanted one so bad. I would beg my parents and always got no as an answer. But in middle school, I started hanging out with some friends who would play Sims. And Sims was probably the Sims 1 was my very first experience of like a video game. Um and I would just watch my friends play on the computer and I would just be like, this is amazing. And I convinced my parents that I bought it and would play Sims 1, and I loved it. I loved the concept of like taking this fresh life and making it however I wanted, without any like like consequences, and just making it right and just making them look how I wanted and have this perfect little life. So like when I was in middle school, I would like find the hottest husband and make sure I was having kids within the first day. And so became kind of a fun escape for me. And then from there, I didn't do playing much video games. I would play at my friends' houses. I remember playing 007 on my friend's GameCube, and like I like kind of shooter games, and then it kind of died off. And then I went to high school and college, and I was super involved with a lot of things. So I play violin, and I was heavily involved in all orchestra related things. And then in college, my second year, I met my not met, I started dating my now husband, and he was super into video games. He had Xbox 360 when we were first dating, and he was playing what had just come out was Skyrim that year in 2011. And so I got hooked on RPG, and like I loved Skyrim. And it was kind of the same concept of I can make this character look how I wanted, and I got to do whatever I wanted to do with no consequences. And I really got into Skyrim. I was playing it all the time. There was one time that he was working, and he lived in a town 30 minutes away from me at the time. And I drove 30 minutes to go play an hour of Skyrim and then drive back because I had to go start work. So like I was thoroughly addicted because I had no really truly playing video games up till that point. I mean, I played Sims, but in middle school, but that was basically about it. And so having my husband playing video games, and he plays a little bit of everything. I've gotten to watch a lot of it, and which I actually enjoy doing. Some video games I don't enjoy playing, but I love watching. And so I got hooked on that, and then he started streaming on Twitch, and every Thursday I would play. He bought me Sims 4, so that I could play The Sims 4 while I streamed on his channel. And so then I kind of got back into playing more instead of watching. And but yeah, I play more than I ever have in my entire life due to streaming, but also due to like I enjoy playing Among Us. I enjoy playing Animal Crossing. I enjoy playing Skyrim again. I've started that back up on the Switch. And so It started as just a little thing of just watching my friends play to turn it into watching my husband play and me getting into it. And then streaming has really kind of fully fledged that
Now,
addiction.
now you say playing The Sims and playing Skyrim that there's no consequences, and I'm pretty positive that there's consequences depending on how you play those games.
You can just go back to your old save. That's fine. um yeah, in The Sims your house can burn down like no problem. Or in Skyrim you can die for the millionth time. But yeah, you can always go back to your old save. I mean, that's my escape of being like, "Oh, time to go back." No problem. Uh,
Skyrim is the game, like I bought it on the PC so I could play it. And the first time I played, I made my character and you're in the thing and you're going to get executed and the
mhm,
dragon comes. And I died in the fire, like inside the first
mhm.
place that you start out with. I was like, oh great, like this is how my life's going to start out with. The second time I played, I made it to like the blacksmith, like the first person that you talk to
Mhm.
on the road, and I'm like, okay, I'm good to go. I start traveling down the road to get to like I guess a town,
Yep.
and some bandits attack me and kill me. I'm like, I didn't even do anything, and you're just attacking me. Like I don't know. Like I want to play it more just to get that experience of going wherever I want and looking at beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
But dang, is
But
it hard?
it's hard, and I definitely say when I played on the novice setting, like when I first started, because I was like, I don't even know how to use a control because I'm so new to video games. And it would drive my husband insane watching me play because he'd be like, "What are you doing? Why are you looking in that direction?" I'm like, well, I can't control it well. He's like, so yeah, I definitely, but now I've restarted Skyrim so many times that like there's there's no element of surprise anymore for me. So like when the bandits do show up or the the assassins do show up, I'm like, hey, what's up? Let's just get this done with. So yeah, I really suggest getting into it again. And if you have to, like, bring it down a notch in difficulty because you're still experiencing everything the same. It just is not as in your face. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something I wanna. I have it like on my wish list for the Switch, but I don't know if I want to invest in, the game that has essentially been published a million
A
times on a different
million times, yes.
all on like consoles. Like I'm shocked. I don't know. Like, is it available for iPhone? I don't know if it can run on iPhone, but I'm sure it will eventually.
I mean, we have it on PC, Xbox, Switch, and VR. So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
mostly everywhere. And I'm hoping that they come out with something in the next few years. I mean, they've kind of talked about it, but then they've been investing in Bethesda's been investing in other things. I'm really hoping they come out with something new within like 3 or 4 years
Hmm.
because it's been since 2011. It's almost been 10 years.
Right, and I know that the only other thing that they've done as far as like Elder Scrolls is like the Elder Scrolls Online.
And I've never played those. And I mean, they've had some other DLCs with it that they've added that have been like really great additions to it. Um, but yeah, they really haven't done much since then.
With okay, so you played video games, but then what was it on like to stream on Thursday? Like especially like before you got started and just doing it on Chaz's channel. Like what was the draw for that?
So basically, my husband started streaming, I want to say in like May of 2000. Oh man, 18. Let me see. Yes, because it was after my daughter was born. So my husband had some friends that were streaming on Twitch and he got into it. And he is one of those people that like dives head first into everything at full speed. And so he was streaming almost every night except for like maybe a night or two. Um, and slowly through time, our streaming setup was in our bedroom. Okay. So our house was super small. And so the streaming setup happened to have to be in our bedroom. And so we had this huge setup, and our couch was super uncomfortable. So I would go to bed while he was still streaming and like just fall asleep in the same room while he was streaming. And so over time, I kind of got to know his community because I was in the room and I would chat back and forth with him every once in a while. Most of the time, I was just sitting on my phone or reading a book. And so over time, he was like, I'm getting a little like burnt out, and like, but my community likes kind of talking with you as well. So why don't you stream on a Thursday on my channel? And I was like, sure, why not? And I started with Fallout. I started playing some Fallout, which I was like not good at. So like you said, like Skyrim, how that made you feel, I felt the exact same way with Fallout. I was like, what is going on? There's so much going on. There's so many options. How do I choose which one to do? So him and I talked, and we got The Sims 4 for me because that was what I played, and we weren't playing. I don't know why I didn't play Skyrim. Maybe I did. I can't remember. But I just started playing Sims, and it was Nicole Thursdays, and he would kind of take a break and kind of detox those nights while I would stream. So yeah, that's how I started doing that.
And then it just progressed from you streaming on his channel to having your own channel.
Yeah. So in December of that year, he was like, this isn't exactly, well, back up. When I would stream, his numbers would be super low. Like, and I saw that his viewers were low, and I kind of felt bad about it because I was playing The Sims while he was doing variety. Like, he was really into Subnautica, into like Drone in the Danger Zone, and like all these other totally different from from Sims. And so I was like, maybe I should get my own channel and just stream from that on like Thursdays. And he's like, yeah, maybe that's a good idea. And he was kind of switching over to Mixer because he was kind of frustrated with Twitch, some things with Twitch. And so he's like, I'm going to be transferring over to Mixer soon anyway. So let's do that. And you stream on these nights and I'll stream on my nights. But we kind of knew that he was kind of like phasing out of streaming altogether. And
Okay.
we did stream on those opposite days, but then we were never seeing each other. Because once we were done, one of us was sleeping or we would just go right to bed. And so in December, I started Mommadubz, which actually like Chaz kind of thought of because I had my last name and my old username. And so we're like, well, we can't have that. And it was Mama, my last name. And then he thought of Dubs because of starting with a W and like the win concept of it. And I was like, it sounds great. And so that's how Mommadubz was formed.
And now you have blossomed into a wonderful streamer of what you're heading by the time this comes out, you'll have hit your 2-year mark plus.
Yes. Yeah, I will be streaming for 2 years, and it's been such an amazing journey for me because when I went in, I had no expectations. I was like, I'm just going to stream and just see where it goes, and I would love to form like this fun community. And within a like couple streams, I hit affiliate due to Chaz's community and my husband, and due to the Sims community, because I was like, I'm just going to stream Sims. That's what I'm going to stream because I'm comfortable and I'm going to sit on that. And the Sims community on Twitch is amazing. Everyone backs each other up on most things, and I love it. And I just started getting a regular schedule and going from there. And then these wonderful people just started coming into my stream and into my life and into this, and then a community formed. Um, and I was blown away by it because I didn't expect that at all. I had no expectations, which is great. We should like not go into anything with a bunch of expectations. So I think that's been my goal, is to just have this community that meets together, that loves on each other, meets each other where we're at, because everyone's at a totally different stage in life or is going through so many different things. And I just want a safe place. And um, I think I can't say it's all me because it's not, but we have made that community through Twitch. And I love streaming. It's a part of my routine. And I, um, you know this, but I went on a 3-month hiatus because of moving, and I legit felt lost in those times of not having streaming and my community to chat with every 3 nights of the week. And so just kind of solidifying that in these past 3 months of taking a break and being back, and it's just like streaming is my lifeblood, and you guys, like, my community is just blows me away. So yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely when you took the break, it was definitely felt, I know, because everyone has a routine, and Saturday, Sunday, Monday evenings
Mhm.
at that time, like I'm general, like you start streaming at 9:30 p.m. EST
Mhm.
for me, so 8:30 Central Standard Time. And then if you need to do higher math or lower math to figure out that streaming schedule, just Google it, and
Yes.
Google will tell you. But
Google.
it's definitely was like, oh, I'm here and I'm gonna work, and nope, no stream tonight.
Mhm.
And then because certain people just don't, like, I don't have like that I guess depth of people to watch on those nights. Either they stream during the week or the weeknight, but not on the weekend. And like you had filled that void or that spot for so
Mhm.
long, I was like, I don't have anything to do.
Mhm.
So it was nice. It's nice when you got settled back in and you got to stream.
Mhm. Yeah, it's crazy because I felt the same way, because kind of my week goes of I stream Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, which is kind of like different for a lot of streamers, because a lot of streamers do it on the weekdays. And so I take that weekend because that's what works for my schedule. I don't go out much because I have children that are young. So it works out for me. And um in a sense of, when most people are like going out and doing stuff, I'm like, I can sit at home and stream. And so I feel like that weekend, it just works perfectly for me and works perfectly for like my community. And then yeah, I would find so my week looks like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then I'm looking forward to the weekend again, of like when I get to stream and when I get to just chat with you guys. So, yeah, it was definitely a huge relief to get back into it. And I was barely moved in at that point when I got back into it, but I was so glad that I did. Started right off.
Well, everyone knows that the first thing you set up in moving into a house is you set up the TV, the video games, and the computers, and everything else comes second, third, and fourth.
Yes. For me, it's the video games and all of that is second compared to my plants. My plants come first. And then the video games went up. But yeah, it was definitely I started running with it again because I missed it so much.
For streaming, what's been like the most unexpected thing for you to be a Twitch streamer?
I will say this every time, how generous people are, not just like with money, because that's a huge aspect of like what I have been given financially, what has been gifted to me in packs for the Sims, in bits and all of that. That's amazing. That blows my mind away. But how generous people are with their time and their attention. Um my mods, David is one of my mods, and just their willingness, even if they're not there the whole time, who cares? But you're still willing to put time or effort into my stream. And it's mind-boggling for me because I haven't met like any of you face to face, right? And so I have people showing up for me that I haven't met face to face. And have had people who have been so generous with their time and their attention, and I haven't met them face to face, but I feel like I know a lot of you so well. And it blows my mind, the generosity, no matter what it is. How kind and giving people can be. I went into this with no expectations. So like everyone has blown me out of the water. Like even if it's one bit, I'm like, they didn't need to do that. Or if it's 1 minute, they didn't need to be here. They could have been doing something else. It's just that generosity has a lot of streams, it breaks me and I cry when I think about it. And then other times I'm sitting there going like, but why are you here? Like, why are you choosing to be here when you could be doing other things? And streaming has really helped a lot of my self-talk, of like my negative self-talk, of wanting to say why, or wanting to say like, well, I'm not that cool, I'm not that great. And changing it and being like, okay, people are showing up for a reason. And it is okay to say that, like, that they enjoy watching me, and that's okay to say. And so, or they enjoy being a part of this community, which I love even more. So yeah, Twitch as a whole has blown me out of the water, but the generosity shows through the most.
If somebody is listening to this podcast episode and they go to your channel, what should they expect upon entering and watching you on stream?
I think the first and foremost is I'm family friendly. I'm a family friendly streamer, and so we keep our language between PG and PG-13. Keep our topics a little bit lighter. We're willing to talk about some hard things, but that it can kind of be an escape in that way. But it's also safe for mostly everyone. And I know some in my community are probably children and not saying their actual age. And so you can expect a family-friendly environment of just kind of chill and hanging out together. And I'm very interactive with my chat, and that's important to me, that I'm interacting with my community in that way. And most of the time you're watching me go through a challenge on Sims, or kind of like fumbling through a challenge at times, or building in Sims. And but mostly what you're gonna see showing up is this sense of community, and that even though there's a community, I always hope and pray that we're welcoming, even though we are a close community, that we're willing to welcome anyone in. And no matter how established it is just that you come into a safe and friendly environment.
Absolutely. And I think that for some of us, and I speak as a us of the community membership, I guess I'll say, is that we have a long memory. And like, there are people, and I was just thinking of some people now, I was like, man, they really haven't been in the stream in months. I hope they're okay. I hope they're doing all right, because we genuinely haven't seen them even before you took the 3-month break. Is that there have been community members that I just I miss them, and I just hope that they're doing okay. And at the same time, when we have new members, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when this person came in on their first time, and then they've come back, and that's really one of the cool things is when people come back.
It is a really cool thing. And also, yeah, having those members and actually miss them. I don't know. It's just a weird concept for me. Like Twitch as a whole, as I've said, is like, with the generosity and with Twitch in general, these are these people that you haven't spoken to before, only through stream, and then you find yourself missing them and missing their presence. Or you have a new friend come in and you're like really enjoying their company, and that's just really kind of a strange concept for me because I grew up in a household that um that was so kind of against anything like electronic or video gamed or like chat room esque, which in essence is like kind of a safe standpoint from that. I understand why my parents did, but um, yeah, that longing to be with certain people online is just such a cool thing.
Last question on Twitch is, obviously you play The Sims 4, like that's pretty
Mhm.
much your cornerstone of your Twitch channel. Is there anything else that you are currently playing or that you're considering for 2021 to like maybe add in? Like, what is your plan for 2021?
I will say I play The Sims and David's favorite. I play Jackbox Party Packs. So I play Jackbox Party Packs. For those of you who don't know what that is basically like an online board game that party games that you can play with other people. I stream it, and then you are able to interact and play with me and other people within the community. And Jackbox Party Pack 7 just came out in October, so we've been hitting that, and I've played that on Mondays. But what it's going to be looking like in the future for 2021, some exciting stuff happening in 2021. Oh man, I wonder if I should say it because you'll know now in February, but I haven't really announced it. I guess I could tell you, and it's just not said yet. And I was going to tell my Twitch mod soon anyway, David. But um, Zephyrin and I are planning to start a team, Twitch team, and that is family friendly and kind of Sims based. But that's one huge exciting thing happening. But also for 2021 is I'm planning on kind of rotating Mondays of being either it'll be Jackbox, Sims, and then probably Stardew Valley. I love me some Stardew Valley. And then every once in a while doing Animal Crossing, because I do love Animal Crossing as well. So I do play a variety of those type of games. But yeah, you would say Sims and Jackbox Party Pack are nothing alike, but it is a way to interact with the community. And on my bio and what we kind of talk through during streams is I'm a community based streamer. Yes, I play The Sims, but my community kind of comes first in that mind. And most of my community is Sims, but doing that interaction with Jackbox, with Animal Crossing, with Stardew. Yeah.
And with you doing the community based streaming, even with The Sims, is that you also create shells for
Mhm.
people to design and submit, and then you do tours of them.
Yes, that's right. I'm forgetting of what I do. So every single month, I build a shell in The Sims. So just build a house, and then I either kind of make it a challenge and have expectations of you, or I just say furnish it, and then I tour them at the end of the month or at the very beginning of the next month. Right now, I have a furnish me that we call the Scottage, and it's a Scotland cottage, and you're just supposed to furnish it, and it's due January 3rd. And then on that day, I stream and look at everyone's furnish me, and it's amazing to see what people can come up with and how they decorate things and how they complete the challenge. It's really cool. So that's where the community base is kind of coming from.
Absolutely, and it's something that I enjoy. I've been able to watch a number of different challenges that you've done in The Sims. I always I always like to see how it's approached, because I know that there's some challenges I'd be like, no, I can't do it. Just no.
Yeah, I'm currently working on a challenge that we just realized during stream that I probably been working on for a year. It's a Disney Princess Challenge, and basically each generation of Sims, so when the Sim has a kid, is another Disney princess, and they have certain goals that they have to accomplish. And I'm on generation 8, and we were looking on past things. I realized it's probably been almost a year since I've been like in it, and it's I'm still streaming it. And granted, I had my time of the hiatus, but still, I'm still here.
That plus some Animal Crossing that kind of took over everybody's
Yes,
lives.
Animal Crossing took over everyone's lives. That's true.
All right. Well, for people who have listened and they're like, okay, I want to go find Mommadubz out there on the great wide internet, what are the best places to do so?
Yes, you can find me at twitch.tv/Mommadubz, MOMMADUBZ. I stream on Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I've been going between 10:30 to 11 p.m. So not super long streams because otherwise my sleep schedule gets super off, but that's when I stream. And then you can also find me on Twitter. Mommadubz is again my handle there, which is great. And I keep everyone updated on that. And if you were ever to join stream, I also have a Discord that you can be a part of, Mama's Meadow. Yeah, those are the main places you can find me.
And I will have all the links in the show notes and on the Facebook page and website. So that way, if you were listening, you can click on it and easily go and check out the stream. And I know that I will say that I hope that if somebody has listened and, listen to this podcast episode, please come and join the stream, just even to check it out and, let us know that you heard about it on the podcast, because that'd be pretty cool. But I just want to say, Nicole, that I have been looking forward to this for a long time. I know that we had originally scheduled it for like a year or something ago. Mm-hmm. And I am absolutely like, I don't know if like humbled is the right word, but I'm just extremely happy that like we got to have a conversation together instead of just, a me chatting mm-hmm. and then you talking back. But I enjoyed getting to talk to you tonight.
I really enjoyed it too. I love that we can have this interaction again, like above of you saying something and I just chatting back on Twitch. And I'm just so thankful for you to be a part of my community and that you happened to just randomly stop by almost 2 years ago into my stream. And I'm glad that we were able to do this, even though we had plans even last year that fell through. I'm just glad that we kind of followed through with it. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Tales from the Fandom. Subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/talesfromthefandom to see photos, links, leave feedback, and check out upcoming guests. If you'd like to be a guest, email David at talesfromthefandom@gmail.com.